The date circled on millions of calendars right now could mean the difference between financial breathing room and another month of barely scraping by. And if nobody has walked you through exactly what is happening with Social Security this month, that ends right now. We are getting into real numbers, confirmed dates, and the kind of detail the government puts in small print that most people never read. If you or someone you care about depends on these benefits, every sentence of what follows connects directly to money that is either coming your way or quietly slipping past you. The Social Security Administration does not pause. Payments are processing, accounts are being updated, and benefit amounts for tens of millions of retirees, disabled workers, widows, and survivors have shifted in ways that caught a lot of people by surprise. The cost of living adjustment that kicked in at the start of this year is still working its way into monthly deposits, and May is no exception. One specific date this month stands out above the rest, and everything depends on when your birthday falls on the calendar. But before we get into the schedule, there is something more important that needs to be said. A significant number of people receiving Social Security benefits right now are not getting everything they are entitled to. Not because the system failed them, but because nobody sat them down and explained the full picture. That is exactly what we are doing today. The cost of living adjustment for 2025 came in at 2.5%. Some people heard that figure and felt let down. After years of watching grocery bills and utility costs climb at rates that felt brutal, wanting more is a completely reasonable reaction. But let us look at what 2.5% actually does to a real monthly benefit. If your payment was $1,500 before the adjustment, it is now approximately $1,537.50 every single month. If you were receiving $2,000, that figure has moved to $2,050. And for those who maximized their work history and held off on claiming until age 70, the monthly deposit can now clear $4,000. That is not a minor line item. That is prescription coverage, utility bills, groceries, and rent rolled into a single deposit. So, what is happening on the payment calendar, and where does May fit in? The Social Security Administration does not issue every payment on the same day. Payments are distributed across 3 separate Wednesdays each month, and the specific Wednesday you land on depends entirely on the day of the month you were born. If your birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th, your payment arrives on the 2nd Wednesday of the month. This past May, that was the 14th. If your birthday falls between the 11th and the 20th, you are on the 3rd Wednesday schedule, which in May lands on the 21st. And if your birthday is between the 21st and the 31st, the 4th Wednesday applies, which falls on May 28th. This structure was not built randomly. The Social Security Administration deliberately spread payments across several days to reduce pressure on the banking system and keep deposits flowing in a predictable, organized way. Knowing your date is not a small thing. It is the difference between expecting a deposit and panicking when it has not arrived yet. Which date applies to you? Here is where it gets more complicated, and this is the part that trips up thousands of people every single month. If you began collecting Social Security before May of 1997, the birthday-based Wednesday schedule does not apply to you at all. Your payment arrives on the 3rd of every month, regardless of what day of the week that falls on. The same applies to anyone who receives both Social Security and supplemental security income simultaneously. That combination places you on the 3rd of the month schedule, not the Wednesday rotation. This distinction matters enormously, and the confusion it creates is real. People call the SSA, they check their accounts repeatedly, they assume something went wrong, when in reality, their payment is simply arriving on a different track than they expected. Understanding which schedule you are on eliminates that stress entirely. Now let us give supplemental security income the direct attention it deserves, because this program supports some of the most financially vulnerable people in America. SSI is a needs-based program covering elderly individuals with limited income and assets, people who are blind, and individuals with qualifying disabilities. The federal maximum benefit for a single person in 2025 is $967 per month. For couples where both individuals qualify, the combined federal maximum reaches $1,450 monthly. Those are federal baseline numbers. Many states add their own supplemental payments on top of the federal amount. California, New York, New Jersey, and several others contribute additional funds to SSI recipients within their borders, pushing real monthly totals meaningfully higher than the federal ceiling. Do you know what your state adds to your SSI payment? If the answer is no, you are potentially leaving money unclaimed that is already allocated to you. And here's something that carries real weight, something that makes people emotional when they finally hear it clearly. There are Americans right now who are fully eligible for Social Security retirement or survivor benefits and have never filed a claim. There are people who qualify for SSI and have no idea. And there are widows and widowers across this country who are sitting on a smaller monthly payment than they deserve because they do not know they can claim survivor benefits based on a deceased spouse's earnings record. If your spouse worked and paid into Social Security throughout their life, and they have since passed, you may be eligible for up to 100% of what your spouse was receiving or would have received. That could represent thousands of additional dollars every single month. That is not a technicality. That is a program specifically designed for your situation, and it is waiting for you to claim it. Have you checked whether you qualify? Let us also talk about the earnings test, because this affects a large group of people who are still working while collecting Social Security. If you have not yet reached your full retirement age, which is 67 for anyone born in 1960 or later, and your annual income from work exceeds a set threshold, the SSA will temporarily hold back a portion of your benefits. In 2025, that threshold is $22,320 per year. For every $2 you earn above that amount, $1 in benefits is withheld. Once you cross into full retirement age, that rule disappears completely. You can earn any amount from employment and still collect your full benefit. But the more important point, the one people consistently miss, is that the benefits withheld during those earlier working years are not simply erased. The SSA recalculates your payment at full retirement age and gives you credit for the months that were reduced. The money comes back to you in the form of a permanently higher monthly payment for the rest of your life. The system rewards those who understand how it actually works. There is something else happening right now that cannot be ignored because it is creating real fear among seniors across the country. Reports of Social Security fraud and scam calls have reached alarming levels, and the tactics being used are becoming more aggressive and more convincing. Callers are telling elderly Americans that their Social Security number has been suspended. They are claiming there is a warrant for the person's arrest. They are demanding payment immediately to restore benefits or avoid legal action. Let this be stated with complete clarity. The Social Security Administration will never contact you by phone to demand immediate payment. They will never threaten arrest over a phone call. They will never ask you to send money via gift card, wire transfer, or cryptocurrency. If a call like this reaches you, end it immediately. Do not provide your name, your number, your bank details, or any personal information. And please tell the people around you, neighbors, family members, anyone who may be isolated or vulnerable, because these scammers specifically target people who are scared and alone. Awareness is the most effective shield. Now back to the numbers, because the full picture matters and there is still ground to cover. The average Social Security retirement benefit in 2025 sits at approximately $1,976 per month, but that average masks an enormous range. Some retirees collect as little as $500 or $600 monthly, particularly those who had low lifetime earnings or who claimed as early as age 62. At the other end, retirees who worked at or above the maximum taxable earnings ceiling for at least 35 years and waited until age 70 to claim are now eligible for a maximum benefit of $4,873 per month. The gap between claiming at 62 and waiting until 70 is not just a number on paper. Claiming at 62 permanently reduces your benefit by as much as 30% compared to what you would receive at full retirement age. Waiting until 70 earns you delayed retirement credits of 8% per year beyond full retirement age. Holding out from 67 to 70 boosts your payment by 24% permanently for the rest of your life. And that elevated amount becomes the starting point for every future cost of living adjustment. Think about what that difference means across a full retirement. The gap between a benefit of $1,400 per month and one of $2,200 per month stretched over 20 years, amounts to roughly $200,000 in additional lifetime income. $200,000. That is the difference between anxiety and stability, between rationing prescriptions and taking them as directed, between keeping the heat on in January and sitting in the cold. The timing of when you claim is one of the most consequential financial decisions of your life, and you deserve to make it with accurate information in front of you. There is one more connection that belongs in this conversation, and it involves Medicare. For the majority of Medicare beneficiaries, the Part B premium is deducted automatically from the monthly Social Security payment before it ever reaches a bank account. In 2025, the standard monthly Part B premium is $185. This is why many people notice a gap between what they expect to receive and what actually deposits. The deduction happens upstream before the payment arrives. For higher income beneficiaries, an additional surcharge called IRMAA, the income-related monthly adjustment amount, adds further to that Part B cost, sometimes by hundreds of dollars per month. However, if your income has dropped significantly in recent years due to retirement, the death of a spouse, divorce, or another major life event, you have the right to appeal that surcharge directly through the Social Security Administration. If your income from 2 years ago no longer reflects your current situation, filing for an IRMAA reduction could save you real money every single month going forward. There are also programs that far too few seniors know about. Extra help for prescription drug costs under Medicare Part D, Medicare Savings Programs that cover the Part B premium entirely for people who qualify, food assistance through SNAP, energy bill support through LIHEAP, property tax relief programs operating at the state level. These programs exist because lawmakers recognize that Social Security, on its own, often cannot cover the full range of needs a senior faces. If you have not reviewed all of the programs available to you recently, that review is worth your time. Your local area agency on aging offers free assistance. The Social Security Administration website is a free resource. The staff at your nearest SSA office are there to answer your questions without judgment. You have spent a lifetime contributing to this country. Every dollar and every benefit that belongs to you is worth pursuing. Behind every payment date and every benefit calculation, there is a real person. A woman who worked back-to-back shifts for decades and raised children on her own. A man who built things with his hands until his body gave out. A widow trying to understand how to move forward alone on a fixed income. A disabled veteran who depends on these benefits to stay alive. Social Security was built for these people, and it was built on a promise that has now lasted more than 80 years. The promise is straightforward. Work hard, contribute to this society throughout your career, and when you can no longer work, the country will be there for you. That promise is still being honored with every May payment that hits a bank account or arrives in a mailbox. It is the promise that lets millions of people pay the electric bill, pick up their medication, put fuel in the car, and buy groceries without running the math 3 times before checking out. Staying informed is how you hold that promise accountable. Knowing your payment date, understanding your full benefit eligibility, protecting yourself from fraud, and reviewing every program you qualify for. That is how you make sure the system works the way it was designed to work for you. If today's breakdown gave you clarity on something that was fuzzy before, or if it answered a question you have been carrying around for a while, do one thing right now. Hit the like button and share this with someone who needs it. Right here on my channel, we break down Social Security, Medicare, SSI, and every program that affects your financial security every single week. No jargon, no confusion, just the information you need, explained clearly, before deadlines and changes catch you off guard. You have earned the right to know exactly what is happening with your money. We are here every week to make sure you always do.